to continue that against his next opponent, Palmer Fallgren, a youngster.
If Larry Laub goes all the way, he would score 280. What a game.
Just parallels what's been happening here all week long at this fine bowling establishment. Concentration.
Chris, next week, well, it looked good. We had to stay with it. But next week we'll be in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Another great bowling classic there.
And then we have stops along the way. We go to Washington for the Fairlanes Open in Springfield, Virginia.
And then, of course, to Miami, Florida.
The Ebonite Open. Then
Toledo, Ohio.
For the Buckeye Open.
And then the Miller High Life Open from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Then we journey down to Peak Mountain, favorite city, for the Andy Granatelli STP Classic in New Orleans.
All right, a big 280 for Larry Laub to Paul Caldwell, 204. There's Larry Laub, who hopes to be in Akron, Ohio, April 1st for our final telecast, the $125,000 Tournament of Champions, the Firestone event. All right, from King Louie West Lanes in Overland Park, Kansas, we'll see the start of the second match in just a minute.
Now, the Lone Ranger.
You may have thought that Tonto and I are always ready to ride at sunup. But believe me, we couldn't feel right trailing a single outlaw until we shower and shave and use Aquavelva. Right, Tonto?
Ah, that's right, Kimasabi.
Aquavelva makes our faces feel good. Gets us refreshed for a hard day's ride.
The shower, the shave, and then Aquavelva. It makes you feel tall in the saddle.
The minute you walked in the joint, I could see you were a man of distinction, a real big spender.
I'm Mike Storr of the Colonels. We spent over $1 million for Artist Gilmore.
$1 million? Have a mirror, big spender.
Hey, big spender, why not spend some time with me?
For tobacco taste with a little touch of flavor, try Tipolette by Muriel.
Elizabeth Taylor stars in Cleopatra tomorrow night on ABC.
Caldwell in defeat earned $1,600 in our first match, losing to Larry Laub, who shot a 280, to Caldwell's 204. So now, Laub moves up, and his opponent, Palmer Fallgren from Sacramento, California. He is 20 years old, the youngest regular on the tour, and there's a bowler's handshake.
That shows you the fellow members in the PBA are great in sports, but right now, they're head-to-head.
After rolling a booming 280, Larry Laub starts with a strike. And here he is, Almer Pogrom from Sacramento, California.
Fasten your seat belts, folks. You're in for a treat. If he gets the string going, he's liable to run them all the way across the building.
Looked a little off balance coming up to the line.
His first stroke, this is the first time he's gone this far in PBA Tour competition. But he does the unbelievable. In fact, last week we spoke about him. The ball hung on his thumb one time, and he hit the ceiling on the tour. He's an exciting player, Chris.
Okay. Palmer Fallgren marched to the spare in the first frame and covering the sixth pin on the right lane. Now he can go over to the left lane, and we'll see what he will do. He's bowling Larry Laub, who opened with a strike. The winner of this will go against veteran Barry Asher, and the winner of the semifinal game will go against the tournament leader from Cornhusker Land, Max Jensen.
There you see Palmer Fallgren's average for the week, 231.
There, he's in the groove.
I think he's been taking lessons from Carmen Salvino with all those running out. Steve Nagy used to do that too. There you see the player, the shot, and he's very happy right there.
Now Larry Laub, who won the first game 280 to 204, striking in the first, shooting in the second, right lane. Another strike. He had 11 strikes in the first game.
Chris, right now he has 13 in a row. And more than that, he has the stroke down. That last shot of the 13 in a row, I think, was his best shot so far. He had the full arm extension and really had the reach.
Winner of 2 PBA championships. 14. 3 in a row. It's the second game, live and in color from Overland Park, Kansas. Now with a strike up in the second, here is Almer Pogrom. Trailing by 20. Oh, he needs to double.
There you see Palmer place his fingers in using the fingertip grip. Pretty smooth roll.
Oh, a little 10-pin on the right lane. How about a little slow motion?
Front and back. There you see him put the ball in motion to the right side of the body so he can get that swing going in that pendulum motion. There you see at point of release, he gives it the lift, knows it's at his target, and look at that pin sail around that pin. He had a little power on that shot.
Cross lane now for the 10-pin. Almer Pogrom, Sacramento. Continuing to mark here at King Louie West Lanes and trailing by 20 pins. Let's pause 5 seconds for local station identification. And speaking of local stations, we gave you a picture of quarterback Len Dawson a while ago. He's here in the audience. He's a sportscaster with our local ABC affiliate. Really doing a fine job. With a spare working, strikes in the fourth frame, trails by 20 pins. More of the second match coming up on the Professional Bowlers Tour.
Every day is moving day at North American Van Lines. And to make sure every move goes smoothly, their trucks use STP oil treatment. These trucks have to haul tremendous loads under all conditions, through crosstown traffic, cross-country miles, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Through it all, STP helps keep them running smoother, cooler, quieter, longer, in all kinds of weather. Try STP oil treatment in your family car and run razor sharp.
Hi, Andy Guenther here. Most people know if their engine's well-tuned in winter, it'll start faster. But a lot of people don't know what stop-and-go traffic like this can do to untune your car's engine. And traffic's getting worse. That's why our STP gasoline treatment had to get better. Now when you add it to your gas, it helps clean your spark plugs better, clean your carburetor better, so you help clean and tune your engine as you drive.
STP double power gasoline treatment. You'll feel the difference. Every move goes smoothly, their trucks use STP oil treatment. These trucks have to haul tremendous loads under all conditions, through crosstown traffic, cross-country miles, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, in all kinds of weather. Try STP oil treatment in your family car and run razor sharp.
Hi, Andy Guenther here. Most people know if their engine's well-tuned in winter, it'll start faster. But a lot of people don't know what stop-and-go traffic like this can do to untune your car's engine. And traffic's getting worse. That's why our STP gasoline treatment had to get better. Now when you add it to your gas, it helps clean your spark plugs better, clean your carburetor better, so you help clean and tune your engine as you drive.
STP double power gasoline treatment. You'll feel the difference. Every move goes smoothly. Their trucks use STP oil treatment. These trucks have to haul tremendous loads under all conditions. Through crosstown traffic, cross-country miles, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Through it all, STP helps keep them running smoother, cooler, quieter, longer, in all kinds of weather. Try STP oil treatment in your family car and run razor sharp.
Hi, Andy Guenther here. Most people know if their engine's well-tuned in winter, it'll start faster. But a lot of people don't know what stop-and-go traffic like this can do to untune your car's engine. And traffic's getting worse. That's why our STP gasoline treatment had to get better. Now when you add it to your gas, it helps clean your spark plugs better, clean your carburetor better, so you help clean and tune your engine as you drive.
STP double power gasoline treatment. You'll feel the difference.
Back again at the King Louie West Lanes in Overland Park, Kansas. Larry Laub leads by 20 pins. He has a three-bagger working. Make it 4 in a row.
Chris, we talked about at 300. He's perfect for the first 4 frames. Will this be the game?
And if you just joined us, in the first game, he bowled against Airman Paul Caldwell. Laub, at whom we're looking, shot a 280. Caldwell a 204. So Larry Laub has really been stringing them here. He now has 15 in a row, 11 in the first game, 4 here.
Chris, a little technical point there from our statistician. He had 11 strikes, but the last 10 were in a row.
Right.
And the first 4, so actually he had 14 in a row.
Right. And with the split, here's a split screen of what happened.
Now, Chris, he talked earlier about the slow approach. There he gets started a little too fast. You see the body go left. The ball goes right because the weight wasn't in the same quadrant, and he couldn't swing it through properly.
Now, Billy, what do?
Well, you pray hard and try to get the shot to go to the left. Slide the 1 into the 10. The ball, of course, will take out the 2. Looks pretty good, no?
Not thin enough. A little encouragement from the standing room only crowd for Larry Laub. And the lead has been cut to 15 pins, so Palmer Fallgren, shooting in the 5th, has a strike up.
Look out if he gets this shot headed to the pocket. 6, 7, 10. A little pull there, Chris. This young man's getting his baptism of fire today. He's only 20. You've got to compliment him to come just this far.
Quite a colorful shirt that Palmer Fallgren is on today.
I was going to ask, you'll be doing the Hawaiian Open golf tournament on ABC. Did you bring that back for him?
Well, I wore one similar to it. Byron Nelson and I...
He might make this, Chris, you know?
Nearly. One thing nice about these youngsters, Billy, they have a lot of gestures. They sort of release all that tension that's in them.
Well, Chris, as you know, and as any sports enthusiast or competitor watching certainly has experienced, all sports is highly emotional, whether you show it or not.
Mm-hmm.
The adrenaline is flowing, regardless of what field of competition you're engaged in.
More like it. And a little help on the left side of the lane. And it's a strike in the 6th frame for Palmer Fallgren. Let's see it again.
Now, right there, he stays with the shot. You see the firmness. He's pleased with it. Now, look at there. It looks like he's ready for the ring.
And now here's the leader, Larry Laub, shooting in the 6th after an open. A 10-pin on the right lane. The winner will meet Barry Asher from Costa Mesa, California. And the winner of that semifinal game will go against Max Jensen from Lincoln, Nebraska.
You notice from deep left, cross lane to right.
27-pin lead by Larry Laub, who in the first game shot a 280 to Paul Caldwell's 204. Winner today on our live color telecast will receive $6,000. This is the $50,000 King Louie Open.
Notice the little knee bend there. That's sort of relaxing in his stance.
A little nudge on the 4. Make it the 7. Speaking of something lovely, this is the trophy that goes also to the winner. So now Larry Billy moves over almost to the return to do this cross lane attempt at the 7-pin. Laub leading by 26 pins. In this second, we'll return with the balance of it in just a moment.
Firestone brings you the people tire. It is really tough. Maybe you can find enough junk, enough chuck holes, enough curbs to do it in. But it's tough. Tough because of the way Firestone builds this tire. With 2 armor belts of steel cord right under the tread. The Firestone 500 steel belt. The people tire. With just a little care, it will really take care of you.
Howard K. Smith, newsman, co-anchorman on the ABC Evening News. In the far places of the world, or here in his own library, Howard K. Smith analyzes and interprets the day's events with an insight developed during 30 years of award-winning broadcast journalism. Howard K. Smith knows a lot about what's going on in the world, and he shares what he knows with you, weeknights, on the ABC Evening News.
Back again at the King Louie West Lanes, second match, Professional Bowlers Tour, live and in color. Shooting in the 7th frame, Palmer Fallgren, who trails by 26. He has a strike up.
Very important shot.
A double.
Chris, it cuts it to 16, puts him in the hunt for a turkey, which could then cut it to 6. That's why that shot was so important.
Now he'll be shooting in the 8th frame, and this is his opponent, Larry Laub from San Francisco. A couple of Californians battling here in Kansas.
Chris, Palmer Fallgren made an important change in his game, and our folks might be interested in just what he did.
Recently made a major change in my game. I changed from a full roller to a semi-roller, and this made me create more area on the lanes and also give me a greater carrying power. And this is what I feel has made me make the show today.
Palmer's voice, and unfortunately didn't get the carry he was looking for as he left the 10-pin.
Chris, it's an important point because a change in your game is very, very difficult. If you do not have the time to vote to practice, it could throw you off and hurt you. There have been some pros that have made changes in their shot, the same change that Palmer made. And I remember one, Joe Brown, a great bowler in the East, and he never was the same. So it might work for one and not for the other.
Okay. Larry Laub, 17-pin lead, shooting in the 8th, spare up.
Chris, and on that 7-pin, he was solid. That's a tough break. Where he didn't carry in the 6th frame, that was the half hit or the soft shot. He didn't get the good fingers. Now he's got his concentration back. He's kind of settled his emotions down, and he's back to Mr. Smoothie again. I think he might strike out.
Smooth and slow on the approach, Larry Laub.
Another well-rolled ball.
Beautiful follow-through. All right, there's the double up for Laub. Now, Palmer Fallgren trailing by 27, shooting in the 9th, the spare up.
Down down by 27. If he can strike out in the 9th and the 10th, he would have a 217 game. Assuming Larry Laub would not open, Palmer would be out of it. Now Palmer can throw it to Larry Laub. If he can make 3 strikes here and go out with 217, he would force Larry Laub to mark in the final frame.
All right. This is the second game. Laub winning the first over Paul Colwell, 280 to 204. Drying his hand over the blower on the return.
This is so very important. The hand perspires a little bit, and you need to grip the ball properly. If it's wet, you lose it on the downswing. He knew it.
Well, let's see it again right from the beginning.
And there's where the trouble happened, right there, Chris. Ball down too soon. You see it hang in the backswing. Now, right here, when he comes through, he doesn't get the lift. You see it fly away from his hand, and the ball's just going to sail by. Doesn't get the mixing action off the wall, and certainly didn't get the hook back into the 1-3 pocket.
But he gets the bucket. Nice job recovering it. However, it isn't what he wanted.
Well, certainly not, but it's like they've often said, and I remember the first time I was in this shape, they asked me, how you think you're going to do? I said, I don't know, I've never been here before. And you've got to be there a few times to get that experience. There's nothing like experience, Chris.
A 197 for Almer Pogrom. Fine performance by the 20-year-older from Sacramento.
Now, it's purely academic. Larry Laub is the winner, but he can strike out for 244.
To go with the 280 in the first. There is your winner. He's now won 2, and if he can win 2 more, he is the King Louie champion. But he first has to go against Barry Asher, who is tough. And the winner of that, of course, will meet Max Jensen for the championship. You know, tomorrow, here on ABC at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, NBA basketball. Los Angeles Lakers against the Baltimore Bullets from College Park, Maryland. Then at 4:30, 8:30 Central, and 4 o'clock Pacific Time, ABC's award-winning outdoor series, The American Sportsman. And we have former football star Paul Hornung, who's sail fishing off the coast of Panama. Actor Marty Milner goes on a wood pigeon shoot in England, and naturalist Jim Fowler captures snakes in Africa.
A wood pigeon shoot? I got to watch that. Can you tell me what it is?
No.
Sounds exciting, though.
Oh, that's a good show. 233 for Larry Laub, the winner, to Palmer Fallgren's 197. And Laub will meet this man, Barry Asher. Live and in color, you're watching the Professional Bowlers Tour coming to you from the King Louie West Lanes in Overland Park, Kansas.
Excuse me, I'm from Gillette.
Oh, yeah, for TV. I, Dick Jones.
I've switched to Gillette Platinum Plus.
I've switched
Perfect.
to...
How about you, sir?
Oh, I haven't tried Gillette Platinum Plus. All the blades are alike.
Oh, most of the guys I know can feel the difference. You get a smoother shave.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Sure, Gillette Platinum Plus Double Edger Injector have platinum smooth edges for smoother shaves. Try them.
Yeah, see if you don't feel the difference.
Are you sure I'll feel the difference?
Did I call the game?
I'll feel the difference.
Some people drive around with a noisy muffler because they won't take the time to get a new one. But at Midas, usually will take only 30 minutes to install a muffler. That's all. 30 minutes to make the world a little quieter.
After 2 victories, Larry Laub over first Paul Colwell and then Palmer Fallgren, he now goes against Barry Asher in the semifinal. The victor to go into the finals for $6 grand against Max Jensen in our live color telecast from Kansas. They were rolling practice balls. Now it's for real. This is where the concentration really begins. And this 28-year-old professional bowler, Larry Laub, has been able to do it 280 and a 233. Gets a break on the 10-10, leaving the 4-7, and Barry Asher watches.
Barry Asher showing a little concern there, and rightfully so. A man shooting 280 and 233.
Going for the 4-7 now. On the left lane, very first frame, third game. Okay.
Chris facing a man that's just averaged 256 for 2 games. That's like the fighter that got, knocked down on the floor in his second. Asked him, "You gonna fight anymore?" He said, "Yeah, but not tonight."
Also the winner of 2 PBA titles, Barry Asher. First stroke.
Good stroke.
Lobbing it out there, striking. It's your protege, Billy.
Well, I'm very proud of this young man. He's really dedicated, and as you can see, he's really a finished player now. Travels a lot with Nelson Burton Jr., and as you'll hear him say when we have him up here in a minute to talk, he'll tell you about Nelson Burton Sr., who still helps bowlers.
Mm-hmm. Looking for a double. That's it. Now Larry Laub, who won the first 2 games, goes against Barry Asher, trailing by 10, shooting in the second, a spare up. Second frame. He's going against Barry Asher with 4 titles, and both, of course, eligible for the Firestone Tournament of Champions, which caps our 13-week tour of the country on Professional Bowlers Tour, and that telecast is April 1st, and total prize money, $125,000.
Mucho dinero. And that's well rolled, Chris. Too well. See that ball break sharply.
Leaving the 6-10, watching slow motion now.
Right here you're going to see where the roll is taking it through, and it's just charging through there, and almost leaves there with that lucky kick out of it on the 4. Gets away from a very, very difficult split.
6-10. All right. And now, Barry Asher, rolling his first game this afternoon in the semifinal position, or finishing second in the overall tournament, leading by 10 as a result of a double.
Christie's very charged up. You can see that by getting the 2 strikes. He kind of had the clinched fist motion, and that's a sign that he really wants to win.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. A little too...
What happened, Billy?
Well, I was going to say, a little too fast, and he hung up in the thumb. You could hear the ball hitting the thumb hole as it went down the lane. Now, right here, he's trying to get the ball down quickly so it doesn't hesitate in his backswing. And he's going a little too fast here. Right there, he hangs up and doesn't get the good roll on the shot.
No sleeper 8, the 2-4-5. Here we go.
Chris, in talking with him, he talked about his performance last week and change of style that he was going to use today. Here's what he had to say.
In my play last week in the Cougar Open, I found that I had a very big hesitation at the bottom of my push away. So I tried to correct that by keeping the ball swinging at all times. And Nelson Burton Sr. noticed that my left side was collapsing, so I tried to firm it up this week and bowled real well.
All right, Barry Asher.
Now you see how quick he gets the ball into motion. That's what he's talking about.
Had it rolling. Strike in the 4th frame, a 7-10 lead, as we'll be back here at the King Louie West Lanes in Overland Park, Kansas in just a moment.
On the test track, we put a lot of miles on Mercury Comet to make sure it's a better small car, but it's nothing compared to what some of our Comet owners do.
I have 29,471 miles on it under all kinds of road conditions and all kinds of weather, and it gives me perfect performance.
We average about 500 miles a week. This is all stop and go, and maintenance is absolutely nil.
I've been running about 1,000 a week on it. I guess I'm a pretty hard driver. I'm generally out front. Hasn't given me any trouble.
Well, in this 7 months, we drove 51,000 miles. Went through all kinds of weather. Well, it did everything I expected and more, too, really.
We built Mercury Comet with the idea a small car can only be first if it lasts. Better ideas make better cars. At the sign of the cat.
What better way to spend a Saturday afternoon than watch live colored telecasts from cities in the country? Here in Kansas, Larry Laub in the third game, looking for one and gets it. Striking in the fourth, giving him 60 through the third, and he is trailing by 7 pins in the semifinal pivotal game. The winner will go into the finals against Max Jensen of Lincoln, Nebraska for the $6,000 first prize.
And wait till you folks see Max Jensen. And, Chris, he is not yet eligible for Firestone. That final match could be a dilly.
Bob checking all positions here on the approach. Double. And that puts him up by 3 pins. So now Barry Asher, who has a strike up in the fourth, shoots in the fifth.
Roll on that ball, Chris.
Larry Laub saw 2. And that puts cool Barry Asher up 7 pins.
We call that kind of a strike. For many years, it's been called the flower pot. And in case the viewers wonder why, it's like you're dropping a flower pot and it's going to the right and to the left. The pins just separate and go right and left. A lot of roll on that last ball. Pretty good leverage. Oh, maybe a little too much.
10 pin. Let's see a split screen playback.
Here you see how quickly the player puts the ball into motion. Now right there you see he's locking that leg in, and watch the result of that leverage. A little too much power, and that's calculated risk. He's very unhappy there. He wants to break that pin in half.
Which wouldn't be too easy, would it?
No, it wouldn't, Chris.
And there goes that 10 pin, which weighs how much, Billy?
Well, Chris, the weight will vary, but mostly around the country there'll be 3 pounds 5 ounces, 3 pounds 6 ounces. Some sweeper tournaments use as heavy as 4-pound pins, which are a little harder to knock over and keep the scores down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Leading, or rather trailing, by 6, Larry Laub. And with that, it's a 3-bagger, and he regains the lead by 4 as we look at his footwork.
Chris, this very much by the book player, Larry Laub. There you see, beautiful footwork. Notice how he keeps his foot straight at the line. That lets the arm swing come through. Got the nice knee bend in there. He's one of the fine players on the tour. He's really become a finished player in the last 3 months.
Leading by 4. Leading by 14. Beautiful bowling as the action will continue here at the King Louie West Lanes after this message.
Ebonite, the pro ball that wins the big ones. Ebonite Gyro, the bowling ball concept perfected by the pros. Ebonite has a ball for every bowling style. The famous Gyro 1, the unique harder surface Gyro 2, and the lower-priced Ebonite Maxim 4. The same balls rolled by the big names in bowling. Ray Blue, Don Glover, Johnny Guenther, Bob Strampy, Carmen Salvino, Barry Asher, Loa Boxberger, and Don Carter, Mr. Bowling himself.
Let your Ebonite Pro Shop professionally fit and drill your Ebonite ball now.
Bowl with the Ebonite Edge. Strike it big. Every frame, every game.
And after watching a parade of champions in bowling in the center with spectacles, there's a champion among the proprietors in the country. Pick the winner. Our host here, and champion Barry Asher, has just made a strike in the 7th frame, trailing by 14, and boy, he would like to double here.
He surely would, Chris. And you're paying a compliment to Vic Lerner. He's a very perceptive businessman, and he has surrounded himself with wonderful people. The man that makes it all happen for him is Executive Vice President Al Bornstein, and then, of course, Neil Early here at the King Louie West. They've just done everything beautifully to make it a success here for the Pro Bowlers Tour.
8th frame, left lane, Barry Asher, Costa Mesa, California.
We've got a match, Chris.
That's cut Larry Laub lead to 4 pitches. Larry, who has put together 4 in a row, now shoots in the 8th frame, leading by 4. The winner of this match, the semifinal game, goes into the finals against 280-pound Max Jensen from Lincoln, Nebraska.
Still got a match.
Seesaw battle here for the right to go into the finals between Larry Laub, who won the first 2 games with a 280 and a 233. Now leads by 14 again, shoots in the 9th.
Chris, here are the possibilities. If Larry Laub, of course, strikes here, he'll go then to a 24-pin lead, and he has a possible 270 game. Barry Asher has a possible 256 game. This might be called the barn burner. We are live, and Larry Laub is live.
So now, let's watch the swing of Barry Asher here, who is down by 24, has a double working for him. Will be shooting in the 9th frame.
And for Barry Asher to stay alive, he needs this strike. Looking pretty good.
Alive in Overland Park, Kansas. Nice and comfortable inside, and here's the comfortable approach of Barry Asher.
Now, Chris, from this side view, there you see the lock-in, so he's keeping his body from falling left. Keep that weight under you. You get the good leverage in the shot, and it lets the swing come through true.
All right. Following our live telecasts from Overland Park, it'll be ABC's Wide World of Sports, International Drag Racing, International Bikini Sports Competition, Cresta. Larry Laub, Barry Asher's opponent, saw the strike that gives Barry a 4-bagger, and now trails by only 4.
That means if he gets this strike, he can take the lead. He has a possible 256 game. This strike would put the pressure on Larry Laub. Already now, Larry Laub needs a mark. If Barry Asher makes a strike here, then Larry Laub would need a strike.
Let's watch.
Chris, putting it into motion, you see the player there on the left. You'll see the shot right here now. He hits it good. He's a whisker inside his line, and he knew it. He was praying for the ball to hold tight right there. You see it by his body motion. Now you see by his emotion how dejected he is.
Heck of a game. total of 245 for Barry Asher. And now, with 6 in a row, Larry Laub, who won the first 2 games with a 280 and a 233, shoots in the 10th frame.
Chris, he needs a mark. And not only that, he needs good count.
Okay.
That's a pretty good one, too.
There's a mark. Barry Asher.
That's the best kind of mark I know of, Chris. Chris, he needs a mark. And not only that, he needs good count.
Okay.
That's a pretty good one, too.
There's a mark. Barry Asher.
That's the best kind of mark I know of, Chris. Now, if he strikes here, he'd be in the 260s. If he struck on the final shot, he'd have a 270 game on almost about a 783 series.
There's your winner. His 3rd victory in a row here this afternoon.
Now, this is the question of whether you want to be at the bottom and move up the ladder or whether you want to be the tournament leader. Larry Laub is becoming emotionally drained. He's had some tough matches. So this takes a lot out of you, Chris.
Right. And an unorthodox, somewhat, bowler will go against Larry in the finals worth $6,000. There it is. Now 270, defeating Barry Asher, who rolled a very impressive 245. And there is Max Jensen from Lincoln, Nebraska, who is the man, the tournament leader, and the man to beat in the finals. At stake, the championship and $6,000. We'll be back in a moment.
Now comes Miller time, when night comes in like an old friend and there's time to appreciate the difference a quality beer can make. A great tasting beer, Miller High Life.
When it's time to relax, Miller stands clear. Beer after beer, if you've got the time, if you've got the time, we've got the beer.
These are professional test drivers who torture Firestone tires under controlled conditions at Firestone test tracks. These are great drivers, too, who put tires to the toughest tests of all, over curbs and road junk and chuck holes out on the real roads. It's for them we make the Firestone 500 Steel Belt, a new tire that lets you ride with steel between you and tire trouble. The People tire. It is really tough.
Stuart Granger stars in The Hound of the Baskervilles tonight on ABC.
That's Congressman and the Senate. That gentleman in the center is Congressman Larry Wynn of Kansas, watching the action here, and it's been something. A 261 average for Larry Laub. Victor in 3 games, a series of 289, and Max Jensen now is his opponent, the tournament leader. And Max knows that he has his work cut out.
Well, certainly so, but try this one on. Max Jensen shot 298 on this pair.
All right.
So we could really have a game.
Leading off will be Larry Laub. How's that determined, Billy? Who leads off?
The man who finishes highest in the standings has the right to choose a starting lane.
Oh, okay. Not quite. leaving the 10 pin on the left lane. 789 series, a 261 average in 3 games. And Billy, this week, did somebody roll a record-breaking series?
Yes, certainly did, Chris, out in St. Louis. Former tour player, a very fine bowler, Ray Off, shot 890, broke Ali Rent's all-time record of 886. He had 290, 300, and 300.
Wow. Going for the spare now, Larry Laub. Marks in the first frame. And here now is your first opportunity to take a look at a fellow that is big enough to have played on Coach Bob Devaney's national championship Cornhusker team.
Boy, if the fight started in here, I'm going to get on his side, I'll tell you that.
Max Jensen moving to the line.
Watch this ball.
Let's take a look at an arrow.
Chris, that's on his left shoe. Many times we're asked why a bowler looks at his foot when starting. That's to determine his starting position. Now, Max uses an arrow to select, then he will not forget. He looks down at the arrow and lines that up with his starting board.
And wearing spats over those bowling shoes. Now,
taking us back to the Count Gingler days.
Yes, sir.
Maybe he's got a limousine and a high hat and a cane in the parking lot. I don't know.
If he wins here, he could have one for a while.
Not only that, he goes to Firestone, gets a shot at the 25,000. That's really a big game for Max.
And like Laub, who opened the game when the first frame, he left the 10 pin.
And here we're going to see, with all this power, watch it. The 6 goes right around that 10. Tough break, like Barry Escher had.
31 years old, from Lincoln, Nebraska. And what a University of Nebraska football fan this man is. And the tanker, which is called, covers the 10 pin, so he has a strike and a spare. And moving up to the line now is Larry Laub with 3 victories this afternoon. Pin on the right lane for Laub. This is a man that started in number 5. We'll be trying to go all the way. And this year, Billy, we've had 2 bowlers on our telecast, Don Johnson and Gus Lampo, who have gone from 5th to win.
That's not an easy thing to do. Trailing by 1 pin, and he'll go over to the left lane now to stroke. Going against Max Jensen. First time on television. Seen Larry Laub before. Chris, he's really been knocking on the door lately. Started back in November for him. He's been right at winning almost every tournament. A couple of sudden death playoffs he lost. He's really, really been hot. And he's third in the money standing behind Lampo and Don Johnson. And it's Jensen now who gets up. Very likable 31-year-old bowler from Lincoln, Nebraska. Shooting in the 3rd frame with a spare up, leading by 1 pin. Good shot of his feet. Mr. Grinder. Chris, we talked to him, and he's changed his style quite a bit with his footwork. This is what Max talked about.
Well, Billy, the reason I think I made the finals this week is because in the last 2 weeks it's taken a straighter shot to win, and therefore I've been moving around quite a great deal on the approach in the last 2 tournaments, and I've lost a great deal of my execution. During this week's tournament, I've had to move to a 6-step approach to stay more behind the ball, and therefore have a greater control. And because of this, I've got my execution back now to about 100%, or as close as I can get to it. And during the finals today, I'll probably go back to a 5-step approach so I can gain a little greater ball speed, and therefore I can have a straighter shot.
All right. Max Jensen.
Chris, when a man can talk and do that, you know he knows what he's talking about and what he's trying to do.
The match is all even after 3 frames. This is for the championship, this game.
There you see the big wide cranking ball of Max hit.
All right, we'll be back with more of this final match between Max Jensen and Larry Laub in just a moment here in Overland Park, Kansas.
We got to finish the whole north side by 5. Yeah, and I'm meeting Marge right after. Oh, man, are we going to have a big day?
Then use what I use, Manpower Antiperspirant. It's got the strength to help protect a man against wetness and odor. Take it from me, Manpower is strictly for men.
Big day? Gigantic. See what I mean?
Get Manpower, deodorant or antiperspirant for man-size protection.
Cartier Jewelers is about to risk a rough diamond that could be worth $125,000 to test the ride of this new Mercury Marquis. Their man, Joseph Raffel, will attempt to split the stone while riding through New York City traffic. Struck precisely, the diamond could double in value. The slightest mistake, and it's worthless dust. Our speed, 35 miles an hour. How'd we do?
Perfect. Beautiful.
Mercury Marquis, with a ride that's steady as a rock. At the sign of the cat.
Well, look at Larry Laub, who in his first 3 victories bowled 28 strikes. He has a strike up in the 3rd, shooting in the 4th, going against Max Jensen in the final match.
Pretty good roll.
4-pin.
A little whisker too much roll there, Chris. The lane is going to finish a little more now than in the first game or two. There have been quite a few shots up the track. As you know, Larry Laub alone, 28 strikes. So he may have to go to a little more speed or not roll it with quite as much fingers.
All right.
There you see the ball come off the fingers. Last, that's where you get the good roll.
The match is all even through 4 frames. Here's very cool Max Jensen on television for the first time. His wife is here watching his performance.
Yes, and an interesting thing, he told me that she makes all of his trousers, so she's pretty good in the sewing room, too.
Yeah. That was a strike by Larry Laub in the 5th frame. Now Jensen has a strike up in the 4th, shooting in the 5th. Did his wife make those trousers?
Yes, she did.
There she is.
They grow them pretty in Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
There's that big breaker, Chris.
That looks like the type of ball that our old friend Bill Lillard used to roll.
Certainly did. Maybe the crankers are coming back. You mentioned Bill Lillard. We'd certainly like to compliment him on being elevated and voted into the Hall of Fame by the Bowling Writers of America.
First got to know him in New Jersey, right there by the Paramus Bowl.
That's when we were doing the early days of bowling and starting to get it on TV.
Jensen leading by 10.
It's a little wide. Just a whisker wide, Chris. He's got such a powerful finish. He almost got it back enough to get the strike. But here, look how wide it is. Now, you see the sharp break right there. But look, coming from that wide an angle, a slight deflection, takes that pin around. Right there, sometimes you do get a strike and get that little love tap off the wall.
Slow motion is revealing, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Can't wait to reveal it in Munich in August as ABC covers the Summer Olympic Games. And speaking of that, Billy, do you think they'll ever have bowling in Summer Olympic Games?
Well, they did in 1936. Hank Marino and a number of other players represented the United States, but since then they haven't. I would love to see them have it again. It would be a great thing, a great compliment to the bowling game, and I think it would be good for the Olympics.
All right, trailing by 9, Larry Laub, shooting in the 6th with a strike up. Oh, what a close final match. trailing by 9. As a result of the double, he leads by 1.
Don't go away, folks.
That includes after our PBT telecast, because it's Wide World of Sports with the Cresta runs from San Moritz, international drag racing, bikini competition, and Mr. World. If you ladies want to watch.
Well rolled.
He's back to his old trick. 3 in a row, Larry Laub, and now Jensen trails by 11, shooting in the 7th frame with a spare up. Think he'll crank this one?
I think he's going to crank it the rest of his life. He's got no other choice. You see, when you've got that big frame, you've got to go around behind your body there a little taste, and he needs to crank it.
And it's a 10-pin.
That's the unfortunate thing about the crank. You're going to leave it. Now, you see here what we talk about when we mean the crank. Way behind him. You see he's way to the left, and he does that because of the hips. Many of the players have had that. Well, it's not a problem. It's just a game and the condition change. There you see. The power that you get from cranking causes the pin to fly.
Come on.
A lot of folks were oohing and awing about that maybe going off in the channel. Not as much crank as he puts on it. He'd have to really play it bad. In case some of our veteran former tour players are watching, such as Harry Smith, Tom Hennessy, where are you? I know you're thinking of maybe right now coming back to the tour. If it's this way every week, I'm going to join you.
You're in semi-retirement, Billy, huh?
Well, just from bowling. I still got to work for a living.
Now, with a spare in the 7th, Jensen shooting in the 8th, trailing by 12.
Chris, did you see him kick that pin out there? He had a little less crank on the ball, so it didn't hit quite as hard.
Now back to Larry Laub. 3 in a row, shooting in frame number 8.
Now here's where Larry Laub can really put this match away with a 12-pin lead. If he can make 2 strikes, he'll go to 32, and that's very important because there are only 2 frames left. We're getting late. He lost it a little bit, but it's going to stay.
When you're on, you're on. Increasing his lead to 22 pins.
Now there's the contrast in styles. We talked about the crank of Max Jensen. That's why all the crankers either changed their shot or left the tour. When you see the vogue today, the straighter shot and the softer shot. Now, he lost that ball on the downswing, and it still stayed in the track because he didn't have a wide area to play. Max Jensen would lose it on the downswing. He'd go in the right channel.
All right. Good explanation.
He's putting some icing on the cake.
Leading by 32 now. Max Jensen has a strike up in the 8th, shooting in the 9th frame.
Chris, now Max Jensen is not out of it. The fact that he's down by 32 does not mean he's out of it. He's shooting in the 9th. He has a possible 237 game. If he can wire it, he forces Larry Laub to mark. And he looks good.
Good Lord, man. I'll tell you, with
he did it.
280 pounds, he shakes the house.
Now look at this. That ball just breaks so sharp it goes off over the 8 spot. He does a little rock in there, reel it, and finally goes.
And the reaction.
Now, Chris, he must strike. Possible 237 game. What pressure for Max Jensen.
Hey, he did it. Looks like that Cornhusker football team cutting the lead to 12 pins now. And here we see it again.
Chris, there's that crank again. You see the power release. Look at this ball break and how sharp. And there you see the pin take it out. Don't get hit by that. Man, I'm going to get out of his way. Now he makes Larry Laub mark with that strike. He can really put the pressure on if he strikes here.
Okay. Larry Laub watches. Things are getting close. 2 pins separating these two professional bowlers.
Chris, now with that strike, a tie becomes very, very possible. If he strikes on this ball, he would have 237. If Larry Laub would go 9, spare, and 9, he would have 237. We'd have a sudden playoff, sudden victory, sudden death, whatever you want to call it.
The final game.
Very important count.
He got all of them. 237 for Max Jensen in his very first television appearance.
Now look at this ball mix those pins. And there it is, Chris. We talk about emotion. He's drained. He's not showing out. There's the mixing action.
Dropped a pound or two in this match, I'll guarantee you.
Chris, this is the big shot of Larry Laub's life, probably. Another title is always most important. He needs at least 9. All right, Chris, he got the 9. Now he can still win.
All right.
Now
true excitement.
What must happen? Larry Laub must make this 10 pin and then strike. If he gets 9, we have a tie. If he gets 8, he loses. But here's the shot for the 10.
All right.
Ooh, he just got that spare. Wow. Holding the left side of his body. The heart.
And now, the man in the fuchsia, or whatever you want to call it, color of the shirt, needs a strike.
Wow. If he leaves anything standing, folks, depending on what it is, if he leaves 1, it's a tie. If he leaves anything more than 1 standing, Max Jensen is the winner.
Max is not even looking. Turns away from the lanes.
He rolled it good, Chris.
Victory and a standing ovation, the first time we've seen this.
First time in 10 years, Chris, I've never seen it. A standing ovation for Larry Laub and Max Jensen.
First time in 11 years that we've been doing the TBA telecast of standing ovation, and well-deserved and a disappointing 1-pin loss for Max Jensen in his first television appearance. Look at that. 238 to 237. Well, we'll be back in just a minute to meet the King Louie Open champion. Well, here we are. We're back at King Louie West Lanes and in all the excitement. And after the standing ovation, there you see the 2 men that came right down to the final ball. And the man on the right, who won 4 consecutive victories this afternoon, Larry Laub. And he bowled a great bowler from Lincoln, Nebraska, Max Jensen. And Max, come in here. Well, I know how you feel. You're about the only thing that's lost this year in Nebraska. The Cornhuskers did it. But listen, you did a Cornhusker performance here like nothing we've seen.
Well, in this tournament, even though I finished second, I'm really a winner because it's my best finish, and because of that, I'm going to probably stay on the tour for quite a while.
Oh, we hope you will. Here's $3,500 to help you along, Max.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You have everything that we need out here on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Size, spirit, enthusiasm, spats, arrows on the shoe. Thank you. Good luck, Max. Great job. All right, now here he is.
over 250, and he bowled. I can't even count the strikes, Larry. Congratulations.
Thanks, Chris. I'd like to thank everybody at King Louie for having us this year, and like them to have us back again. I've always liked this place. And after Gus won last week, I thought I'd go have Orlovsky coach me.
All right. Now I want to bring in the president of King Louie International, a great host, former president of the Bowling Proprietors Association of America, Vic Lerner. Vic, would you present the check? And also a great governor, wonderful sports fan, Governor Ducking from Kansas. Hi, Gov.
How are you, Chris? Nice to see you.
A quick word, Vic, to Larry.
Yeah, Larry, here's 6,000 reasons for you to come back and like us a little more.
Sure will. Thank you. Thank you.
There you have it. Larry Laub getting the $6,000 first prize right here at the King Louie West Lanes in Overland Park, Kansas. Our next stop on the Professional Bowlers Tour is Winston-Salem, North Carolina. At ABC Sports, we'll be bringing you the final rounds of another great PBA tournament. The Winston-Salem Classic, that's 1 week from...
Hi there and good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Wildcat Lanes, Papillion, Nebraska, the home of the Coors Professional Bowling Association Regional Tournament. Sit back and enjoy yourself. My name is Johnny Ray Gomez, and I'd like you to meet right now the gentleman who's going to help me announce this fabulous tournament, a gentleman from Lincoln, Nebraska. A couple months ago, he won the St. Louis Rolaids Open in Dick Weber Lanes. He has just about every single record for a Nebraska bowler, including 12 300 games. Let's meet Mr. Bill Straub.
Thank you. Thank you, John. John, we've had a very exciting tournament here for the first time in Papillion. We've had lots of high scores. In fact, our tournament leader shot 300 on this very pair we're going to use for the TV show. Hopefully we'll have some more high scores, and it's been a great tournament. I think we'll continue to do so.
All right, Bill, let's meet these bowlers. The gentleman who qualified fourth. Let's have a nice big round of applause for